Radhe Radhe Govinda 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 Sri Radhe Radhe Govinda 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 Sri Radhe Radhe Govinda 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 Sri Radhe Radhe Govinda 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 Radhe Radhe Govinda Sri Radhe 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 Radhe Govinda Sri Gurave Namaha. After listening to my YouTube video on the Pariprashna series, the first one, a friend of mine asked me a question, what is the meaning of Pariprashna? He quoted this shloka from Bhagavad Gita, in which Lord Krishna asks Arjuna to approach a guru and do pariprashna to him. Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashtena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. I will not go to the other words of the shloka, tattvadarshi, and what is tat, and what is seva, what is upadesha, and what is pranipata. I will directly answer his question, the meaning of pariprashna. We will go from the basics. As I have been telling you in my lectures that we are basically Atma, and we are conscious entities. We are parts and parcels of Lord Krishna, Bhagavan. He is Vibhu Chaitanya, we are Anu Chaitanya, and he is Rasa Swarupa. He relishes love, which is his pleasure potency, and experiences divine bliss. His parikaras also, like Yashoda Maya, Nand Baba, experience, relish love for him and experience divine bliss. And we, in the material world, because of eternal avidya, ignorance, we identify ourselves with the body, and instead of seeking the relish of the love for our beloved, our Amshi, Sri Krishna, we develop desire to relish the pleasure from sense objects, because we have five senses and corresponding to these five senses we have sense objects, and we develop this desire for the relish of those sense objects, and then we relish material happiness. But this happiness which we get is always contaminated by misery. We want only happiness as parts and parcels of Sri Krishna. We only want to experience unlimited happiness, and a happiness which lasts forever. This is what we deserve as Atmas. And we chase for such a happiness in the material world which is temporary. Whatever happiness we get from the sense objects, for example, we eat rasgulla, we get happiness from it, but it's not giving us eternal happiness and unlimited happiness which we want. So we go for another object. We want more of rasgulla. As I told you, we develop greed as we get sense pleasure. And we go against the laws of nature in this process. When we are relishing all these sense objects, we will not see whether we are conforming to the laws of nature, whether my body can digest whatever I am consuming or not. So I break the laws of nature, because of which I get miseries. And this I will cover in my lecture on Rasopasana also. Because I am connected with myself, others and nature, I disturb myself, others and nature in every activity I do. So as a reaction, I get misery from myself. If I disturb my body will give me misery in the form of disease. My body will give me tensions in the mind, and others give me misery. Nature also gives me misery. We have conflict with others, we fight with each other, and nature also, all of us have experienced how Corona has given misery to millions of people. This is because we have been disturbing nature, going against the nature, and nature was giving this misery to us. So our happiness is always temporary, and we are constantly chased by this misery. That is why Sri Krishna calls this material world Dukkhalayam and Ashashvatam. Ashashvatam because whatever happiness we get, as in the case of rasgulla, is very temporary. But in general, this is Dukkhalayam. It gives only misery to us, because through our every act of the fulfillment of sense pleasure, we keep breaking the nature, laws of nature. So, where did we start? We wanted to have unlimited happiness and eternal happiness, but we are chased by misery. So what should be our question? How to get this eternal happiness? Instead of asking this question, now because we are experiencing these three kinds of miseries, we are creating, because of our tendency to go against nature, fulfill our desires by going against the laws of nature, as I told you, we are creating three kinds of conflict. Conflict with ourselves, our body and mind. We are creating conflict with the others. We are creating conflict with the nature. And that is where the inquiry starts. Who am I? There is a book written by Leslie Stevenson, different philosophies. He covers different philosophies and shows us how all philosophies address these four things. Who am I? And what is nature? And what is my problem? The diagnosis and the prescription. All philosophies do it. And all philosophies, as a French philosopher called Jacques Derrida says, can be divided into three. My relationship with that, the subject matters which discuss about me, my relationship with myself, and subject matter which discusses my relationship with others, and subject matter which discusses my relationship with nature. So we ask questions about myself, others, and nature. And that is how all the body of knowledge is developed. Physical sciences talk about my relationship with myself. Social sciences talk about my relationship with others. And natural sciences talk about my relationship with nature. And even the art forms, all these dramas, dance, performances, which are created by the human beings, if you see the content of these films or art pieces and dramas, they are basically dealing with three things. Man's conflict, the hero's protagonist conflict with himself, his conflict with others, and his conflict with the nature. And because of which he is suffering and he is trying to find out an answer. The dramatist or the poet or the filmmaker is addressing these questions. He is showing us these three kinds of conflicts which everybody experiences, and then he is asking questions. So everybody is asking questions and coming out with answers. But these answers which we are getting are not solving these problems. We see that down the history, diseases are increasing. There are Nobel laureates who get Nobel prizes for biology, medicine, and all these things. And there are Nobel laureates who get Nobel Prize for developing psychiatry, psychology, and all these things. And yet we see that our diseases are increasing, our mental problems are increasing. Depression is the fastest growing disease, and the social conflict is increasing. We are all divided in this world, in the contemporary world. There is fight between one group and the other group. And there is a lot of violence also. I gave the example of gun violence in one of my lectures. There are shootouts everywhere. There are bombing everywhere, and there are any number of natural calamities which are giving misery to us. So nothing is coming down. They are increasing, which means that we are getting miseries. Instead of getting happiness, we are getting miseries, and we are trying to ask questions, and we are getting temporary answers. Our knowledge is developing, but then we have a reversal of situation. At the beginning, these philosophies which we developed seem to be giving some temporary solution to us, but later we realize that we are experiencing much more deep-rooted problems, much more dangerous diseases, much more dangerous conflicts, and much more dangerous natural calamities. So this shows that we are asking questions, but we are not asking the proper question. We are asking prashna, but it is not pariprashna. Pariprashna is that which goes to the foundation and asks that I am seeking happiness. I am a seeker of eternal happiness. I am constantly chasing happiness, but I am getting three kinds of miseries. Why am I not getting the happiness, and why am I getting these three kinds of miseries? Which means that there is something problematic in the way I understand myself. Because as I told you, according to Leslie Stevenson, every philosophy is constituting an individual, giving an identity to us. And so this is what I am. We think that. And based on the understanding of that I, desires are produced. There is activity based on that identity, and then I act, and instead of getting happiness, I get misery, which means that the identity itself is wrong. So I ask the question, who am I? why am I not getting happiness which I seek, and why am I constantly chased by miseries? And this is what Vedanta asks us to ask. The Vedanta Brahma Sutra starts with Athato Brahma Jignasa. Atha Ataha. These words are, Acharyas give different meanings to these words. But then in the modern context we ask like this: because I am seeking happiness and I am not getting happiness in this material world, I am constantly chased by misery. Because of this, and now that I am getting this, Ataha, because I am getting this, I am asking this question: what is the absolute truth? Who am I in relation to the absolute truth? That is what is Brahma Jignasa. And I also quoted one more shloka in one of the lectures, probably in a Telugu lecture. Etadnyayam nityamevatma samstam nata param veditavyam kinchit bhokta bhogyam preritaram himatva sarvam proktam trividam etat. There are only three things to be known. Bhokta bhogyam prerita. Bhokta means I, who relish. I am a relisher of my of the sense objects through my senses. And bhogya means the prakriti which has sense objects. And prerita means the absolute who is residing in my heart. So only three things have to be known. Rest of the questions are all answered if these three things are known. In the tradition which I follow, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tradition, there are 6 Goswamis who gave us all this literature about Rasopasana, and they are all followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Srila Sanatana Goswami, one of the Goswamis, went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the first question he asked was, who am I? Why am I experiencing threefold miseries? So this is the question. This is Pariprashna. You have to go to the root and ask. And then Mahaprabhu explains all the philosophy. Unless you ask this question and go to the fundamentals, and this you have to know, whom do you ask this question? You cannot ask this question to any material scientist, because the material scientist himself doesn't know that he is Atma. After all this research, they don't know that they are conscious entities identifying with the body. They think that the consciousness is produced because of some chemical reactions in the brain. So it is material. Consciousness is also material for them. It's not a distinct entity. Consciousness is not distinct from the matter for them. So they themselves do not know. That is why all the questions they ask are wrong. They are asking temporary questions. And they are not asking any permanent, they are not going to the root and asking any doing any pariprashna, permanent question. So that is why their answers give temporary results, and then because they gave you this, they reinforce your identification with the body, as we get temporary solutions based on the prescriptions given by the scientists. We get more rooted, and then we continue our disturbance of the nature. And so eventually all this leads to misery. So they can never give a solution. Those who identify themselves with the body, they may be the most, geniuses in the world, Nobel laureates, but they can never come out with the knowledge of our identity. Identity as consciousness is beyond them for those who identify themselves with the body. And they can never give a prescription, they can never give a proper diagnosis, because they don't know the root cause of all this. And so we can never become free from misery, and we can never attain the bliss which we are seeking through this body. So we should go to a realized Tattvadarshi, one who has seen the absolute truth, one who has heard from his Guru, who is a realized soul, and then put that into practice and himself realized that. So we go to that and we ask this question. We don't ask any material question or temporary questions from him. We ask him this fundamental question, that who am I? Why am I suffering from threefold miseries? Why I am not able to experience the happiness that I am seeking? So, when we do Rasopasana, many of these questions and the details of all these things will be addressed. So I hope you got some idea of what a Pariprashna is. Albeli Sarkar ki jai. Radhe Govinda, 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 Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Govinda Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Govinda Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Govinda Govinda Govinda, Sri Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Govinda Govinda, Sri Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Sri Radhe